You can't leave a place because you hate it, and then the new place you go to complain because it's not like the place you left that you said you hated. Hey, what is up, guys? This is Brett here from brettdev.com, and welcome back to the channel. Now, today in this video, I want to address a few things. Over the past several years, well, over the past 10 years of living out here, I have seen many foreigners come and go. And today in this video, I wanted to talk about some of the kind of traps that foreigners fall into when they move to a new country like Thailand. I've got about 5 here on my list that I want to mention and kind of give you guys some advice to help you navigate such a massive move, okay? Because despite what all the other YouTubers tell you, despite the Instagram reels and the TikToks, like living the dream, everything's great, a lot of people struggle, okay? A lot of people struggle. And I would say 90 to 95% of people that I meet that move here end up going back for some reason or another, okay? And that's, to be fair, quite justifiable, because you're moving to a country like Thailand or anywhere else where you don't speak the language, you can't read or write, everything's done differently, the culture is completely different, it's not the same culture as you're used to in the West, and, you know, it really does take some time to adapt, and it takes a certain type of individual to be able to move to a country like Thailand, specifically long term. Okay, so hopefully in this video I should give you some tips so that if you do decide to move to a place like Thailand, you ultimately do not fuck it up. Or also, hopefully I should give you some tips so that if you watch this video and you feel like perhaps you're one of the types of people who wouldn't really fit in Thailand, you don't move here in the first place, okay? Because Thailand is not for everyone, okay? Lots of people come here and they realize it's just not for them, and they go right on back to where they came from, okay? So the first thing I wanted to talk about in this video is, you know, when you first come to Thailand, you're going to go through a period of adjustment, okay? 95% of the people can't kind of adjust for various different reasons. Primarily, I find the biggest reason people can't adjust is because of the culture shock, because of the way things are done in Thailand compared to how they're done in your home country. Like I said, everything's not all sunshine and rainbows here. There's lots of good stuff here, and there's also lots of bad stuff here, okay? Now, you can't have the good without the bad. However, a lot of people come here and they think they can. They think it's all good because they think what they've seen on YouTube, nobody talks about the fucking bad. Yeah, no one talks about the annoying shit or the frustrations that come from living in a country where everything's different, okay? But I'm going to talk to you about it today. So, you know, for me, when I first came to this country, I'll step back a bit and explain a little bit about how I came here, okay? Because I think the way that I come here was very different from how many people come here today, okay? So, of course, we had YouTube and we had influencers and stuff back in 2015 when I first moved here. However, I didn't really discover the influencers until around 2014, 2015. I first came to Thailand on holiday, okay? And I didn't know anything about Thailand. I didn't even know until my friend said, "Do you want to go to Thailand?" I was like, what the fuck's Thailand? Like, heard of it like once or twice. You know, it was a place where a couple of my mates were going backpacking when I was like in my 20s. Yeah. Didn't even really want to go. They went a couple of times without me, and every time they asked me, I was like, "Nah, I'm good, man. Don't even like know what that is. Like, I'm fine." I don't know. I was busy. I was doing shit. Couldn't get time off work or whatever. And I didn't know anything about the place, right? So there was no draw or no appeal for me to want to come here. Eventually I did come here, and I just completely fell in love with the place. Yeah. Like, for me, I still remember, you know, arriving here for the first time. I think I spent my first week in Koh San Road, and I remember coming out of the hotel. Like, the first time I got there, I blocked up the toilet. So my friend was like, "Meet me at a hotel on Koh San Road." I'm like, okay. And we got 2 different flights, right? So he was arriving like the next day. He was like, "Go here, stay in this hotel, get in a taxi, explain how to do it." And I was like, before then we didn't have Grab, and we barely had Google Maps, like, you know what I mean? I don't even know if we had Google Maps. Anyway, so I go to this hotel, and I'm waiting for my friend. I go in there, I use the toilet. Not supposed to put tissue down the toilet in Thailand because it blocks the toilet. I block the toilet up. I have to go down to reception. I have to say, "Excuse me." I'm just done massive shit. And the toilet won't flush. And then the fucking the receptionist and all that come up and have to unblock my toilet and all this stuff. Anyway, so this was like a side story, maybe for another video. But this was like my first week in Thailand. So, and then I come out of the hotel. It was so hot. I'd never felt any heat like it. I just remember people staring at me. And I used to take a lot of steroids back in the day. So I was kind of like massive jacked. And I was like just sweating profusely, like ridiculous. Like the people like on Koh San Road, the Thais were just staring at me like I was some kind of freak. Because I just looked like I was in the shower, even though I wasn't. And I was walking around, and then, you know, my friend, we get the bus. He comes, we get the bus down to, he's like, let's go to Koh Phangan. I didn't know you could get local domestic flights. I would never get a bus ever again from Bangkok to Koh Phangan. It was horrendous. Now I know I live here. I'd just get a, you know, domestic flight for 2,000 baht. But back then you don't know this stuff, right? But even then, it was so uncomfortable. I think I got the shits on the bus as well, and had to stop. And there was no actual toilet. There was only a floor toilet and all this stuff. But even as crazy and hellacious as it was, and I wasn't used to it, I was complaining, I was moaning, obviously, at that time, because I was just come from England. I was just so wrapped up in cotton wool and used to my comforts and stuff. But after like a week, I kind of thought, yeah, you know what? I fucking like this. Like, it kind of made me feel alive, right? It gave me like, it snapped me out of the mundane shit that I was living in back in the UK. Yeah. And obviously after that, I go back and I start thinking, you know, I want to go back on holiday again. And I come back on holiday again. And then I meet people out here who tell me, I met somebody who said they worked online. I was like, wow, that's amazing. I can't believe you can do that. I go back, then I look on YouTube. So the point I'm trying to get at, with all the toilet stories aside, is, you know, for me, I fell in love with Thailand itself and the place. Only then did I start researching, how can I live there? How can I, you know, make money online? How is this even possible? I found out it was possible. I didn't know it was possible until I met somebody here at a bar randomly when I was on holiday. And then once I had that like spark, I was like, man, this is incredible. Like, I need to know how I can do that. And then I started researching how to do it. Now, that is a lot different to how other people are coming here today. It's now 2025. We've had the fucking pandemic and all of that shit, and everybody's working remotely. We've got just an abundance of, like, just too many, like, YouTubers, Thai vloggers. Everybody and their fucking mother is coming here trying to become a Thai vlogger. And they're all just saying, look how cheap it is to live. Look how, you know, look you can, like, don't have to spend any money here and all that. And people move here. I've met people that have moved here who have never even been here. Okay. I've got my community nomad school. We've got like 2,000 people in there. Probably like every other week, somebody comes in there and goes, hey, I've seen Thailand online. I'm moving there. I just quit my job. I sold all my stuff. And I'm like, have you been here before? They're like, nah. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, you have to understand, like, there's such a cultural difference here. You're not just going to come here and be like, oh, everything's amazing. It's everything that I get back in the US. It's everything I get in the UK, but except I pay like 1/3 of the price. You know, everyone's going to be nice to me. Not everyone's nice to you in Thailand. Some people are fucking cunts, right? And then they come here and immediately problems. Oh, what, you know, and they kind of expect, they had this vision of what Thailand was in their head. And when you come on holiday, it's great because you're kind of like, you know, you're here for 2-3 weeks. You're oblivious to it. You're going around as a tourist. You're overpaying for everything. So of course everybody's nice to you. You know, but when it comes time to actually live here and you're here for month after month after month, that's when people start to notice stuff and they start to crack. Okay. Like when I first come here, I'd gone back, I'd done my research online, and I really kind of dove into this work online lifestyle, the digital nomad stuff. And so not only did I love Thailand itself, and that was the reason I wanted to move here, but then I came here for the work online stuff, the digital nomad stuff. And I was hopping around from co-working space to co-working space. And that stuff actually like gave me energy. Like I thrived off of it. Yeah. Like for me, perhaps you have to be a certain type of character where you thrive in chaos. if you like everything orderly and structured, then this isn't the place. Like, because you're not going to get order and structure. Just me sitting down to try and make a video sometimes. There's a guy, I can hear him drilling in the background, right? You can't hear it on my mic because I've got a good mic. It's distracting for me. I have to be able to zone it out, tune it out, okay? Like, there's no point in me sitting here going, oh man, Thailand is so fucking noisy. Can't even make a video. I have done that in the past, but you have to adjust, okay? You have to adapt to your surroundings. And more importantly, you have to remember what you're here for, okay? Like I said, for me, moving to Thailand gave me so much energy. It kind of like just lit a fire in under me, and I thrived off of it, okay? And I come here because I wanted to build a business. I wanted to work online. I didn't look online and say, oh, I just want to save money. Let me go. Like, going to live in a country because you're just going to save money and not knowing anything else about the country, not having any other motivational aspects to that logic, is that how you'd say it, it's so retarded, okay? It's so stupid. And you're going to, if that's your sole reason, you might get lucky and you might be like me and thrive off of it, or you might not, and you might end up having to go back, okay? It's like 50-50. But like I said, I came here, I thrived off of it, and my motivation at that time was to start an online business. I was already very like entrepreneurial mindset, like back in my home country. My whole life, I've always been like trying to work online. I used to be a web developer, I used to build websites since I was like young. Always like hustling, and, the online thing just seemed like a really cool thing to me. And I just wanted to dive into it and focus on it properly. So when I kind of come here, I kind of got wrapped up in that co-working stuff, like I said, the digital nomad lifestyle. And I've been doing that ever since, right? I've just been like hustling, grinding, making YouTube videos, building my online communities, creating courses. I built a freelancing agency. I was a freelancer, then I built a marketing agency. I've always had stuff to do, okay? And that brings me on to what should be in my notes, my third point, which is you have to have a goal, okay? So this is one of the biggest reasons why I see people, just implode, just break down when they come here. And I was literally speaking to an old fella the other day at a bar, and I've spoken to many an old fella at a bar here in Thailand. And this topic of conversation comes up all the time, and all the old timers, all the retirees will tell you this, okay? So if you're a retiree, listen up to this, because they say themselves, if you don't have anything to do here, if you come to Thailand and if you're retired or if you've got some sort of passive income coming in, you are going to go nuts. And I see people go nuts all the time. And it's always people who have nothing to do, okay? The people that thrive and get along here spend most of their time like at coffee shops, at home. They kind of work half the time, they're building their online business, they're doing their remote job, and then they're going hiking at the weekends, they're doing that. The people that implode are people that have nothing to do, okay? You have to have a project here. And the big reason for that is, like I said, there are lots of annoying things in Thailand, okay? Not everything's great. It's a complete polar opposite to where you're from. It's a 180, okay? Yes, there are good things. Yes, it's cheap, but there are negatives. I'm not going to sit here and list all the negatives. Maybe I'll do that in another video. But for me, they're not really negative, but, I kind of embrace it. But, if you're sitting around and you're not doing anything and you don't have a project, even if you're going to come here and you're retired and you can sit around, this is why we have like the old, what do they call them? I don't know. The old, there's like old farangs, yeah, like the old retirees that just sit around and moan, and they're always in Facebook groups, always complaining about shit. It's because they don't do nothing. They've got nothing to do, right? And when you have nothing to do, you just start to look for things that you don't like, okay? People fall into a rut. They fall into like a trap of negativity, and they start looking for things to complain about, right? Some little thing will happen to them. It kind of breaks my heart in a way, especially if like I do go to a bar and I talk to a guy and he's like in his 70s and 80s and he says, oh, I've been here for 20, 30 years. And then he's just moaning and complaining about this and that, or the Thais do it like this, the Thais don't know this. I kind of think, fucking hell, man. Like, I feel sorry for you, dude, because you've just got nothing to do but sit around and like just poke holes in things. Okay. When you're busy, that stuff don't really bother you too much. Okay. Because you're getting on with your stuff, So the point I'm saying is if you're going to come here, you have to have something to do. Okay. Another reason why I see people kind of like break down and implode is people don't live a simple life. Okay. And this particularly applies to, sorry, I'm not calling you out. I'm not picking on you, but it really does apply to Americans. Okay. God, I've met so many Americans that have moved to Thailand, and I think it's something to do with the culture because I might be wrong, but in America, everyone's got these big houses and they've also got all this stuff, right? They've got all this shit that they buy. Yeah. They have to have the big TV. They have to have the fucking this and that. I met a guy, and in his first week here, his first fucking week, I met him and he was fucking bitching and complaining because he tried to import some like mad like computer chair or something, some like huge computer desk setup, and then they fucked up the importation of it and they were charging him tax or something on the import, which he didn't think about beforehand. He didn't realize Thailand had massive import tax, and then they brought it in, and then they wanted to charge him basically what it was worth just to get it through the customs or whatever. And it's just like, why can't you live a simple life? Like, people who don't live simple lives here, people who try to do all that stuff, and then it all becomes a complaint, right? Then it's like, oh, how can they charge this? How can they charge that? And it's like their first week here, and they're already bitching about the place, and they're like, oh God, and they don't like it. So straight away, as soon as they've got here, they've figured out a reason why they don't like it, why it's shit. But it's not shit. What it is they expect it to be like how it is in their home country. And this is the point I'm making. If you just come here because you say, oh, it's cheap, and you don't acknowledge the fact that everything is kind of fucking different, then you're going to have so many issues. So you can't come here with that Western mindset. You can't be like, well, I'm just going to move from America to Thailand. So what I'll do, I'll just get like a big plane, fill all my shit with it, and then just take it there. And when I get there, it's just going to be just like the US, except half the price. No. You're in for a rude fucking awakening, right? Like, you need to live a simple life. That's what I do. I don't really, I see people complaining about property that they've bought here, how they've invested in property, and the Thais they can't get the Thais to decorate it properly, and then they've got problems with building management and all that. People say to me, Brett, why don't you go and like buy a bigger house, like, and do all this? Why'd you just live in the same? Because I like easy. Yeah. Like when I make extra money here, when I get money, I don't go and buy shit and make my life hard. Okay. I keep things as simple as I possibly can. So if you kind of like a minimalist and you want to live a minimalist lifestyle, then Thailand will be good. Okay. When you start branching out of that and you start trying to like live a Western style lifestyle here, you're just going to create problems for yourself. Okay. Like most problems I find from foreigners here are self-inflicted. Like that example I just said, guy moves here in his first week, tries to import loads of stuff. Now he's complaining because he can't import it. Like you could have just come here and just bought a desk and a monitor and brought your laptop with you. Okay. You don't need to bring a gigantic computer chair with you from America. Buy a normal chair when you get here. Right. But it's like, well, in America I could do that. Yeah. But you're just going to set yourself up for so many issues. Like all these issues that I see people encounter, they're mostly self-inflicted. Okay. So live a minimalist lifestyle. If you're going to come here, live a minimalist lifestyle. There's a word for this, and it's called cognitive dissonance. Okay. That means when you hold two beliefs that contradict one another. Okay. For example, I don't want to live in the US anymore because I hate it. I want to live in Thailand. But then when I go to Thailand, I want it to be exactly like the US. Okay. This is the mindset people come here with. Like so many people come here with this mindset. You have to realize if you're thinking like that, you have cognitive dissonance. You can't leave a place because you hate it. And then the new place you go to complain because it's not like the place you left that you said you hated. Okay. You have to accept the fact that it's different. It's completely different. Okay. And if you cannot accept that, and if you're not willing to, you don't have to embrace it. You don't have to like love all the bad stuff and say, oh, this is great, even though it's not. But you have to have a sense about you where you can take the good stuff in and let the bad stuff kind of wash over you. Okay. I mentioned a moment ago, I was speaking to a guy at a bar the other day who was, he was talking about some property and stuff like that. And I think he got offended because the whole time I was talking to him, he was telling me all of these crazy stories about like, and to be fair, he'd lost loads of money on his investment, didn't do his research, tried to live a complicated lifestyle. Okay. He said in hindsight, I never would have bought condos. He had a few condos. I never would have bought condos here again. But I think I kind of offended him because when he was telling me all the mad stories about like couldn't get builders, dealing with the board of the condo people, when you have a condo with like a bunch of owners and they all have to make a decision, and all the Thais just didn't want to repair the condo, so the value of his condo was going down. But I was talking to him and I was kind of laughing a little bit, and I think I offended him because I was giggling and I was chuckling, right? And because that's what I do, right? There's got like when I say you have to like let it wash over you, there's going to be so much like bad, annoying stuff that happens to you out here, and you have to fucking laugh about it. You have to laugh about it. The Thais do silly things. Okay. They don't do things the way we do them. Okay. But also at the same time, that's what kind of makes them special. Okay. That's the thing that you have to acknowledge. You can't come here and say, oh, I love the Thais. They're so carefree. They're so laid back. They don't really give a shit about anything. It makes me feel like so chill. In America, everybody's so uptight. And then when it comes to actually getting something done or hiring somebody to do something for you, and they take a laid free back approach to it, you can't then complain and expect them to be like an American or like a Brit. Okay. It doesn't work like that. You have to like take the rough with the smooth. If you like the fact that the Thais are laid back, if you like the fact the way the country is, it's you have to take the good with the bad. Okay. You can't appreciate a country and appreciate all the good stuff for the good things it does for you. And then when those characteristics translate over to something you want done properly or done seriously, then freak out about it and expect them to act like somebody from your home country, which is what a lot of people do. And like I said, this is cognitive dissonance. This is holding two beliefs in your mind at one time. Okay. So if you're going to come here and if you're of that mindset, just know that, just know what you're getting yourself into. Okay. And I think really, to live here, you kind of have to thrive on the chaos. You kind of have to be a bit of a mad bastard, perhaps a little bit. And you have to kind of have a laid back attitude. Okay. If you're not a laid back character, if you don't like let things go over your head, if you can't laugh at bad stuff, if you can't laugh even at bad stuff that happens to you, and if you're uptight, then you are gonna fucking struggle, okay? Because coming here, because it's cheap, you're gonna struggle big time, because that is not the reason to be living here. And please, if you're watching this video, please do not fucking move here without coming and visit first. That is the dumbest fucking shit in the whole world, okay? Do not move to this country if you have not come and visited it first. And I would suggest you spend a good month to 3 months before you even think about moving here, okay? You need to get out there. You need to meet people. You need to, if you want, like, people come here to date and they're like, I'm going there to find a girlfriend, basically. God, that's a whole different topic. Maybe I'm making up Thai women. Jesus Christ. That's a whole different video topic, okay? Nothing like Western women, and you don't even know what you're getting yourself into, bro. And you think you're going to come here and, like, get married and have kids and, like, that's what exactly the reason you're here? Well, you got a lot to learn before you start diving in, okay? So do not just come here and think or assume because of what you see on YouTube that so that's the way it is. Remember, a lot of YouTubers don't tell you the truth. They don't tell you what living here is really like, okay? it's fake. A lot of it's fake. Okay. Like it's a great country. I'm not saying it's a bad country, but it's fake in the sense that they only give you the positive. There's so much to living in a country. There's so much to moving to a foreign country. You know, I moved from England to Ireland. That's so different. It's right next door. You imagine you're going around the world. Like 100 years ago, you wouldn't have even been able to come here. You'd have to get on a ship, right? It's only 100 years ago. The culture is so fucking different. It's so 180 opposite to what you're used to. Okay, it's fantastic and it's amazing in so many ways. But to really live here long term, all of those ideas, those conceptions you think you're going to do, you think you're going to come here and, you know, build this big life for yourself. You think you're going to come here and invest in property in Thailand. You think you're going to come here and get married and have a kid. You think you're going to come here and do all this. You might do all of those things, but you need to do those things slowly. You need to learn how things work, and that takes years, okay? No YouTube video, nothing I say, nothing anybody else says is going to show you how to do that, okay? You have to come here, visit first. Do you think you could try it? Come and live here for a trial period, stay for a year or two, and also be willing to go back. Be willing to go back if you don't get along, if you find it's not for you, because it's not for everybody. And I've spoken a lot in this video. I've waffled on and on and on, but you get the point. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like this video, you're probably going to like this one. And if you want to know about Thailand, then come and check out our community right here. That's all for this one. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.